Hey folks, I'm Joe Crawford, and pretty much every day I go to, oh, I have the wrong browser in here. I have Firefox. That's not what I meant to do. Let's change over to a different browser. I always do these in Safari. The back end, of course, of CSS Battle is of course Chromium, but I do Safari primarily in my day to day, and I also appreciate the discipline required to uh, do these puzzles in a way that Safari allows. So let's get to it. Oh wow, and we got a cute robot, and that is terrific. That is terrific. And I definitely have the feeling like I would like to do this with all backgrounds. This scratches the itch for me of a what's the itch scratches to do it as treat it as a CSS illustration, really, because it's just so fun. All right, so we'll start with a variable for the eyeballs. Variable, ra- radial gradient, 1Q, and it's going to be white. Let's say 30 pixels radius, and I'm going to plug that in, var e, and then I'm going to have a background color, semicolon. There we go. That's how you get an eyeball. All right, and we need two of them. Comma, comma, minus 10 pixels, minus 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 45. So that means this one's 45 pixels. Great. That's the first step. Then what? Let's do the body. Radial gradient at 50%, 100%. And then we'll say 40 pixels, 0. How about 1Q? Drop off that 0 and then make that body bigger. Will that match? 5, 7, 8. No, it won't. Oh, a tricky one. We have, yeah, so that's fun. Here's our first challenge. 1Q. So that, the way I'm doing that is not going to work. So it's an ellipse, and we'll say 85 pixels or 100 pixels, 85 pixels. 100 pixels, 85 pixels, and 0. Da, da, da. Oh, see those curves? See those curves? Yeah, I think that the CSS illustration idea is a bad idea, and I'm not going to do it much as I really want to. It is not going to work very well. So let's go blank template. We're going to create paragraph elements to do all the different things we need to do here. All right, so what are the pieces and parts? Pieces and parts. We're going to need to create some shapes, and let's make them. I think the main shapes that we're dealing with is this kind of lozenge, and then the background circles of these are another thing. So okay, feel like my words are not up to the task, but we're gonna get to it. All right, so I think we have multiple paragraphs. We'll keep it as simple as we can. So we need a light blue paragraph, and then this darker with the eyes paragraph, and then the last is this circle. So we need at least 3 paragraph tags. All right. So the first one. So again, the way the stacking happens, the things that are earlier in the HTML are lower. So each successive one goes higher. So the first one we want to make is this light blue guy. All right, so we'll start with background light blue and move the margins into place. Margins. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 100, 90, 95. There it is. And then the height, 10. And then I want to use a border radius to match the width of this. And so I'm going to decrease the margins on the side. 55, and then 5. That's pretty good. 57, 53, 57. How about 60, 52? So what I'm trying to get is a perfect alignment. And so deciding exactly what I need to do there is the tricky thing. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's close. That's really close, but it doesn't seem quite right. I'm going to use 1 inch, which is a little bit of a shorthand that's kind of interesting. Let's make 60, 1, 2, 3, 50. There we go. So I've set a sort of a max radius, which use this 1 inch number, which tends to work. I don't know if I have a good theory of why that works in the way that it does. I think it's kind of a maxima of what an appropriate radius would be. So it's a little like saying, some enormous number, like 900 pixels, right? And I think that 1 inch is a shorthand for that. So that's how that works. All right, this is the second one. So, we might as well put the back. Let's get the background correct. Radial gradient, 1Q, 30 pixels, 0, and I'm going to short circuit that. So I want to create that circle, and I'm going to say at 100 pixels. There it is. I'm going to say 0 and then 100 pixels wide, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 200, 50, 60, 70. Great. So now I can remove the at, which sets the center of it, and then adjust the background position. That's fewer characters. That's the reason that I do that way. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And now I will unshort circuit those styles, and now I have that shape. I don't know that I explained that very well, but trust me. All right. Here's our second element. P plus P. And we need 3, so I'm inclined to add a distinguisher. So I'll use an attribute selector, and that's a B tag. And I'm going to say background red. And we can't see it right now. And also we see that the radial gradient that we've got on the background is lower. Why? Because the body is higher, because things are pushed up. Now, when I put a bottom margin that's negative, you will see things move up. And that's exactly what I want. So I need to move that way up to 18, 19. Okay, so this second one is less tall, height 10. Not tall enough. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those margins, I need to set margin. Margin 10, 20, 30, 60, 70, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. And I'm adjusting these margins upwards. Okay. So now I'm going to make that color be this. What I would like is to have a single margin number, but I may not quite get there. 100. I mean, I know I can make it work without that. 200, 190, 195. All right. So I'm messing around with this negative number, but that makes it a little trickier to do. So I think I'm going to not be bothered by using two numbers here. So let's set that. I'm going to unset the margin and say 190 is fine. And now I'm going to set margins of 0, 100. How about 80, 85, 86, 87? Ugh, confusing the whole thing. How about, is it 90? 100? 05? 95? There it is. Okay, and then increase this number, 110, 112, 105, 106, 107. There we go. All right, so we've got that in the right position now. Okay, now we're going to do that radial gradient, which is 1Q, white, 20 pixels, and the dark green. And I will do an at value at 40 pixels. And increase the radius, 3. Say position is, background position X is 0. Give it a width, 100%, 100 pixels, 110 pixels. Oh, 90 pixels is correct. Remove the at 40 pixels and then adjust the background position -5 pixels. And we have, so those are the pieces and parts. Long time to get there. Sorry about that. Now we make C, which is, I'm going to set a negative margin on the bottom of the B element, -10, and see how far we can get. This height of this, we'll say 100. And then increase the negativity here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great. And I'm going to try border radius. Border radius, 1 inch, 1 inch, 0, 0. And then adjust the margins. Can I make that work? 0. So let's see. Okay, now I'm going to adjust this negative margin. Just going to set that to 0 and then make this negative, maybe. Okay. Getting close. I think what I'm seeing there So so if I set a height on this background, there we go. Okay. Okay. Now, all right. So what I've done is I've anchored the two circles right where I want them. And so now if I've got overhang for this bottom element, it won't bother me so much. It will still kind of work. 20, 25. Okay. 90, 95. Height 85. Okay, so this is what we've got. I'm going to submit this. So we're not 100%. And that's no good. Yeah, we're at 99.5% match. I think what I want to do is instead of border radius, I'm going to use clip path ellipse. Semicolon. So that gets me what I want. And now if I adjust the height, now this is again going off of the bottom, but it will give me the curve that I think I want. 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So I'm adjusting these numbers. I want it to be a little taller. How about 190? How about a height of 200? That did it. I believe that's a match now. So this clip path ellipse is how I get curve fitting. There are other options here. You could do a clip path with shape, and I did get a 100% match. Um, but using border radius has limits because it really, my understanding, the way I think of it is that things with a border radius really kind of want to be rectangles. And so there's only so much you can do with a border radius. Now you got border radius was where you can have a slash in the value, you have multiple values, more than just 4 values, more than just the corners. There for this, there's also corner shape. Corner shape, absolutely worth researching. The shape type of clip path is another one that you could look at. And you could absolutely create this shape using a background with a radial gradient and the keyword ellipse, or with just measures of the size. Now that we know that it's 200 height, probably you could calculate out what the radial gradient is. But we got to 100%, 20 minutes worth of code, super fun. This is one that I will probably, oftentimes a puzzle like this, where there's so many different ways to approach it and it is so complicated and fun. I will probably return to this one. I probably won't do another video about it, but this is one I will play with because this is super fun. A challenge of ellipses and circles and very specific shapes. And how do you efficiently create this shape? Really love it. In terms of how you would do this as an illustration, we're using 3 elements now. The classic way to create HTML illustrations is to create it with a single element, right? Use the before and after to create additional elements. And so then you just have a single element like a div, and then you add a class, and then all the classings that you create are around the before, after, and the original element. And so with a single div, you get this incredible creativity. Super fun. The best illustrators that do that stuff are just so good. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I certainly did. Have a great day. Go make a web page. Really, it's fun. All right. Bye.